simplicity. Sometimes a presumptuous bluntness giveth it being. Sometimes it riseth only from a lucky hitting upon what is strange. Sometimes from a crafty wresting obvious matter to the purpose. Often it consisteth in one knows not what, and springeth up one can hardly tell how. It is, in short, a manner of speaking out of the simple and plain way, which by a pretty surprising uncouthness in conceit or expression doth affect and amuse the fancy, shewing in it some wonder and breathing some delight thereto. It would be a foolhardy theorist who would seek to cram all that into a single formula. Even so, humour is not simply an enigma any more than poetry is. It is possible to say something relatively cogent and coherent about why we laugh, though whether I have done so here is up to the individual to judge. T.E. 2017. 1. On laughter. They laughed when I told them I wanted to be a comedian. Well, they're not laughing now. Bob Monkhouse. Laughter is a universal phenomenon, which is not to say a uniform one. In an essay entitled The Difficulty of Defining Comedy, Samuel Johnson remarks that though human beings have been wise in many different ways, they have always laughed in the same way, but this is surely doubtful. Laughter is a language with a host of different idioms. Cackling, chortling, grunting, chuckling, shrieking, bellowing, screaming, sniggering, gasping, shouting, braying, yelping, snickering, roaring, tittering, hooting, guffawing, snorting, giggling, howling, screeching, and so on. It can come in blasts, peals, gales, gusts, ripples, or torrents, blaring, trumpeting, trickling, swirling, or piercing. There are also different ways of smiling, from beaming, smirking, and sneering to grinning, leering, and simpering. Smiling is visual, and laughter primarily aural, but when T.S. Eliot writes in The Waste Land of a chuckle spread from ear to ear, he fuses the two phenomena. Chortling, sniggering, and so on denote different physical modes of laughter, involving as they do such matters as volume, tone, pitch, pace, force, rhythm, timbre, and duration. But laughter can also convey a range of emotional attitudes: joyous, sarcastic, sly, raucous, genial, wicked, derisive, dismissive, nervous, relieved, cynical, knowing, smug, lascivious, incredulous, embarrassed, hysterical, sympathetic, skittish, shocked, aggressive, or sardonic, not to speak of purely social laughter, which need not express the least amusement. In fact, most of the forms of laughter I have just listed have little or nothing to do with humour. Laughter may be a sign of high spirits rather than amusement, though you are more likely to think things funny if you are feeling euphoric in the first place. Physical modes and emotional attitudes can be combined in a variety of ways, so that you can titter nervously or derisively, bray genially or aggressively, giggle with surprise or delight, cackle appreciatively or sardonically, and so on. The paradox, then, is that though laughter itself is purely a question of the signifier, mere sound without sense, it is socially coded through and through. It is a spontaneous physical occurrence, most of the time anyway, but one which is socially specific, and as such cusped between nature and culture. Like dance, laughter is a language of the body. Descartes called it an inarticulate and explosive cry, though the body is also enmeshed in meaning of a more conceptual kind. Even so, it will never be entirely at home in that more rarefied sphere. There is always a surplus of brute materiality over sense, and it is this that a lot of humour allows us to savour. It also encourages us